I stood in rooms where candles burned low and whispered words were spoken over garments that once belonged to the dead. I believed clothing could carry more than fabric and thread. I believed it could carry memory, energy, even spirits. Today I am no longer part of that world. As an ex-witch, I am here to expose what I was taught, what I practiced, and what I discovered about what really happens when you wear dead people's clothes. When I was deep in that world, we were taught that nothing a person touches is ever just an object. We believed that fabric absorbs presence the way soil absorbs rain. Every shirt, every coat, every pair of shoes was said to carry fragments of memory. We were told that emotions sink into cloth through sweat and tears and breath. Grief, anger, joy, trauma, all of it was believed to cling to the fibers. And when someone died, those garments were considered spiritually charged. I remember the rituals where clothing was placed in the center of a circle. Candles would surround it, and words would be spoken, as if the garment itself could hear us. We were convinced that wearing those clothes could open a doorway. Not a physical doorway, but a spiritual one. It was said that the essence of the deceased could linger and attach. The idea was powerful, and it felt real because we believed it completely. We were warned that putting on such clothing without preparation could invite influence. Influence over thoughts, dreams, even emotions. If someone felt sadness while wearing a dead person's jacket, we said the spirit was expressing itself. If they had a nightmare, we said it was communication. Every experience was interpreted through the lens of spiritual residue. The belief shaped the outcome before the garment ever touched the skin. But here is what I learned after stepping away from that life. The power was never in the fabric itself, it was in the story we attached to it. When you tell someone that an object carries energy, their mind begins to look for proof. The human mind is incredibly suggestible and deeply imaginative. Expectation can turn coincidence into confirmation. Clothing does carry memory, but not in the way we claimed. It carries memory because we assign meaning to it. A father's coat reminds a child of comfort. A mother's dress reminds someone of love. That emotional connection is real, but it is psychological, not supernatural. The garment becomes a symbol, and symbols are powerful because we give them power. So if you ever wear something that once belonged to someone who has passed on, understand this truth. You are not wearing a spirit. You are wearing fabric stitched together by human hands. Any feeling that rises within you comes from memory, belief, or emotion. And once you understand that, fear loses its grip, and you reclaim your power. There is something powerful about the human mind that most people underestimate. When you believe something carries danger, your body responds as if it is true. Your heart beats faster, your senses sharpen, and ordinary sensations begin to feel unusual. In the circles I once walked in, we understood this reaction, but we called it spiritual activity. We framed normal psychological responses as supernatural signs, and people experienced exactly what they were told they would experience. If someone wore a ring or coat that belonged to a deceased person, they were already primed with expectation. They were told they might feel a presence or notice changes in their mood. The mind does not like uncertainty, so it searches for patterns. A random chill becomes a sign. A passing thought becomes a message. Once the suggestion is planted, the brain works tirelessly to confirm it. I watched people convince themselves that they were being influenced from beyond. They would say they felt different while wearing the clothing. Sometimes they felt sadness, sometimes fear, sometimes even confidence. But emotions are fluid and naturally change throughout the day. When you attach those changes to an object, the object becomes the focus. The garment becomes the explanation for what the mind is already producing. Fear is especially powerful in this process. When you fear that something might be attached to you, your body releases stress responses. Sleep can be disturbed because your mind is alert. Dreams become more vivid because your thoughts are preoccupied. You wake up and remember every detail because you are looking for evidence. The experience feels real because the emotional reaction is real. But the source is not spirits or hidden forces. The source is belief and expectation working together. The brain is designed to protect you, and it reacts strongly to what it perceives as threat. When someone tells you an object may carry something unseen, your imagination fills the gap. The more attention you give it, the more intense it can feel. Attention fuels the experience. The empowering truth is that once you change the belief, the experience changes too. When you understand that your mind is creating meaning, you take back control. You realize that feelings are not proof of supernatural attachment. They are signals shaped by thought and perception. And when you stand in that awareness, you step out of fear and into clarity. After everything I experienced, after every ritual and every whispered warning, I came to a simple and liberating conclusion. Fabric is fabric. Thread is thread. There is no automatic spiritual danger stitched into a jacket or woven into a dress. The fear surrounding dead people's clothes is learned, not discovered, and what is learned can be unlearned. When I stepped away from that world, I began to test what I had once believed. I handled objects that we once called spiritually charged. I wore them without ritual, without chanting, without protection circles. Nothing followed me home. No shadows clung to my thoughts. What I felt instead was the quiet realization that belief had been doing all the heavy lifting. That does not mean objects are meaningless. Objects carry stories because we give them stories. A sweater can remind you of someone's laugh. A scarf can bring back the warmth of a hug. Those emotions are human and beautiful, but they are memories rising from your heart, not spirits rising from cloth. If you ever feel uneasy wearing something that belonged to someone who passed on, you have practical power in your hands. Wash the garment. Pray if you are a person of faith. Speak words of peace over your space. These actions are not about removing spirits from fabric. They are about calming your mind and restoring your sense of control. The truth is that confidence breaks fear. When you understand that your thoughts shape your experience, you stop giving objects authority over you. You stop interpreting every mood shift as something external. You begin to see that you are the one assigning meaning. And once you recognize that, you can choose a different meaning. So do not let superstition rule your life or steal your peace. Clothes do not possess power over you unless you surrender your power to them. You are stronger than any story you were told. You are not vulnerable to fabric or memory or myth. You are in control of your mind, and that is where true freedom begins. I once believed that unseen forces lingered in fabric and followed those who dared to wear it. I once taught others to fear what was hanging quietly in their closets. But today I stand before you free from that fear and free from that deception. There is no hidden spirit stitched into sleeves or resting in seams. There is only cloth, memory, and the power of belief. If you remember anything from my journey, remember this truth. The only thing that gives an object power over you is the story you attach to it. When you change the story, you change the experience. When you release fear, you reclaim authority over your mind and your life. And when you stand in truth, no garment from the past can ever control your future.